Good morning, everybody. It's Tom. It's Thursday, January 28th. Is that right? Yep, 28th. Good to be back with you. So, I'm kind of doing this four-part series, I guess, over a couple of weeks. And last week, as a couple of weeks ago now, actually, I explored what I offered as the two most dangerous words in the English language. And I suggested that those are should and can't. And that should and can't are both versions of what I would think of as saying no to life. Saying no. Saying no to life, saying no to the energy that wants to flow through us, and ultimately saying no to God or to a higher power, to the universal intelligence of the universe, however you think about that divine power that is the ground and source of our very being. Now, today, what I want to do is follow through on the second of what I'm offering as the two most powerful words in the English language as a way to kind of replace. So we kind of get into a centering for wisdom practice, allow some of the junk to be evacuated and let go of, and we find deep healing in that process. And then we have the freedom to kind of consciously choose what we want to put in there. So on Tuesday, I talked about the word believe and the power of what it means to place our belief into something higher than ourselves, and to also find that same power that is higher than ourselves within us, to place our trust in. I looked at how the root of that word fidere in Latin means to place one's trust in. So where do we place our trust? Where do we place our belief? We place it in a power greater than ourselves, and that liberates us to actually access, paradoxically, all the power that we have within us. Now, a theme for this whole series really is about how our words create our reality at our very basic level, and this is true on both a spiritual level and on a scientific level. If you get into like the quantum world, we are energetic beings, and we put out energy. We are constantly vibrating at different levels, and whatever we put out into the world is what we are going to attract back at us. This is just kind of the basic law of attraction that you hear a lot of people talking about in these kind of spaces of meditation and tuning into the harmony and the wisdom of the universe. I was also thinking about this in relation to one of the most common phrases that Jesus repeats throughout the entire New Testament is this phrase, fear not, me phobou in Greek. Fear not, or do not be afraid, do not fear. And I think that what Jesus recognized and what great spiritual teachers recognize is that belief and fear cannot coexist in the soul at the same time. So fear is going to come up. It's part of the human condition. But how we relate to it, how we watch it kind of go by and let it go and replace it with belief and with fear not, can be a really powerful way of showing up. So for the second most powerful word in the English language after belief, I've got a bit of a trick, a two-fer. It's not a trick, but it's kind of a two for one. So we're going to end up kind of exploring a couple words. So the first I'm going to say is it's just the word yes is the most powerful language. Yes. And then the second one that we're going to explore is what we talk about as your sacred word. Now, if you're not already doing a daily centering practice, you might not know what that is, and that's okay. I'll explain a little bit more about it in a second. But yes is the opposite, right, of those two words that are basically forms of no. Belief and yes, and saying yes. My wife actually has a background in theater and playwriting, and she's recently joined an improv group. They're hilarious. But one of the things that they say in the improv world is that you always have to say yes. No matter what somebody else does on stage, no matter how crazy or wild it is, your answer is always yes and. Yes, and then build on that. And what can we do to take the story forward? And that's actually a pretty powerful way to live and to bring into your spiritual life as well. So personally, I've been studying and practicing contemplative prayer, especially centering prayer, but also other forms that I've studied from the Christian tradition, which is kind of where my training is in theology and ethics, but also from any contemplative tradition that I can learn from. I just have this hunger and passion for it, and I've been doing this for over 2 decades. And one thing that I've noticed that everyone agrees upon, every teacher, every text, whether it's an ancient or modern text, is that the most important part of a daily contemplative or centering practice is what we call our intention. Now, intention has to do with where are you placing your energy and where are you directing your desires? So intention you could think of as like, where are we tending towards? Where are we tending into? Where are you placing your desires every morning when you wake up? Is it in gratitude and yes to life, or is it in no and fear? So the practice, the daily practice, really hones in our intention. And in a daily centering practice, if you get into the practice and get all the support that you need, you actually learn to choose a sacred word that becomes a symbol. It's not a mantra, it's a symbol of your intention to consent. That is your intention or your desire or your will to say yes. So see how the sacred word and the saying yes are kind of one word. So I cheated a little bit there. It's a twofer. It's saying yes to life, just like on stage, on improv, whatever life throws at you. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm ready. It's also on a deeper spiritual level. It's saying yes to God's presence and to God's action within. So it's saying yes to the very ground and source of our being and the source of our energy and life. Now, doing this consistently, the great thing about it is besides just the peace that you experience in the daily practice and the deep rest, is it also gets us beyond all of your conscious thoughts and reactions that are happening at the surface. And that's where we get caught up in our daily lives with tension and anxiety and fear and stress and depression and all of that stuff. We get caught up and we think that's all that's going on in our lives when we're caught up in it. And so those conscious thoughts and reactions are often our immediate reactions of fear or wanting to shrink. But with the practice, we get below that into the depths of what you might call your non-conscious mind from like a psychological, neurological sense. From a spiritual sense, it's your soul. It's the deep energetic level of your being. And you're saying yes at that deep energetic level. And so when you repeat your sacred word, it's like you're dropping that yes deep into your soul and letting it plant and take root and grow. Cynthia Berjolt, a teacher that I have learned a lot from, talks about this as it's like upgrading your operating system. It's like taking your whole soul, even when you're not thinking about it, you're operating at a different level of yes to God, of yes to life, of yes to healing, of yes to presence. So it's like it's in the back of your mind or deep in your soul, kind of running all the time at this very gentle, very subtle level, but it starts to show up in daily life in these really, really powerful, transformative ways. One of the ways that that shows up is it starts to free up this energy that you maybe didn't know you had to be present to whatever is happening in the moment. So you can access your inner core of goodness, of creativity, of innovation and new ideas, and ultimately of wisdom, that deep goodness and wisdom that you have deep down inside. We all have it. So that you can show up and lead in your business or your organization with passion, with vision, with an energy that is infectious to your team and motivates them to want to give their best and to build a powerful team and an organization or a business together. The other thing I'll note that we talk about in this practice is, sometimes life is just going to knock you. If you were tuning in on Tuesday, I had got knocked pretty hard on Monday with anxiety that I've struggled with my whole life. Kind of had some anxiety attacks and really had to go back to the mat and to the ground and kind of come back to center. But one of the things that happens is when I'm doing my daily practice, and others, you'll find this too, is when something knocks you off like that, because we're human, it happens. There's no expectation that we're going to be perfect or that somehow we're going to be immune to all of the challenges of life. But you bounce back so much more quickly after a setback. It's like, okay, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back to my practice. I'm going to let all this go. Take a deep breath, come back to the sacred word, come back to yes, and you are able to let go of all that tension that builds up and maybe knocks you out for a while, and then come back to center. So it's funny because my wife was commenting on this the other day. She knew I had a pretty rough Monday, and she's like, I see how dedicated you've been in the past few years to doing your practice consistently, a couple times a day. And how you come back from these little setbacks much more quickly. And I don't take things as personally. And that's certainly congruent with what I've seen with most of the people that I've worked with. All of them actually find that at some point. So if you want to replace should and can't with a deeper belief and a trust and a yes to life and using a sacred word and learn how to practice with that sacred word, I have two invitations for you today to learn more and, more importantly, really to start applying this practically to your leadership, to everything in your life, to your most important relationships, whether those are professional or personal, so you can show up and be present and saying yes to life. So the first thing that I want to invite you to is to just go straight to booking a call with me for a breakthrough session. And I put that link up in there. I will put it up here again in a second. And it's thomasjbushlack.com/apply. And you can follow that link, and that will take you to set up a free breakthrough session with me right away. And we can get on the phone and talk about how you want to learn some of this and how you want to start applying it in your daily life. Sorry, trying to multitask here. And then I will also put up a link here. If you want to learn a little bit more about what I talk about is this process of centering for wisdom, I'm posting a link here to my free masterclass, 45 minutes, where I go into the 5 shifts that you need to make right now to get out of that cycle of saying no and resisting life and causing all that stress and tension, letting that go and getting into that new operating system of saying yes, of working with the sacred word, getting beyond feeling constantly overwhelmed and recentered in your purpose, your inner soul's power, and most importantly, divided by divine wisdom, by God's wisdom. So click that link to watch my free masterclass, and I've posted that there as well. Either way, you've got the opportunity to take massive positive change in your life right now. So click the link right now and book your free breakthrough session, or if you want a little more first, watch that masterclass. And either way, I will talk to you soon. Thanks for being here. God bless, and I hope you all have a great day, and I hope you still stay centered. Peace, everybody. Take care.